So talking about financial literacy, we want to look at how do we manage our finances? How do we manage what God has given us? How do we manage our resources? How do we be able to be a blessing with our resources? And above all, how we can be able to remove poverty in our lives, in our families, and everything around. That's my hope this morning. I want to share a story. And this is where we're going to be discussing. I have a powerful story here, which I term as Jane's story. And please, if you're called Jane, please bear with me. This is just for purpose of learning. I wasn't talking about you, particularly Jane, but I'm just talking about a name called Jane, using this for learning purpose. Jane lives in a slum in Arua City. As a female in a male-dominated society, Jane has been subjected to polygamy, a regular physical and verbal abuse from her husband, fewer years of schooling than the males, and to an entire cultural system that tells her she is inferior. I'm going to advise that I can use a mic. Alright, hope this now helps. Okay, let me begin again. Jane lives in a slum in Arua City. As a female in a male-dominated society, Jane has been subjected to polygamy, regular physical and verbal attack, exploits Jane, demanding interest rate of 100% on her loan of 75,000, contributing to Jane's material poverty. Are we getting the stories? Okay. Having no other option, Jane borrows from the loan shark and starts a business of selling homemade charcoal in the local market, along with the hundreds of other just like her. The market is flooded with the charcoal, contributing to her material poverty. Frustrated by her entire situation, Jane goes to the traditional healer, witch doctor, for help. The healer tells Jane that her difficult life is a result of angry ancestral spirits that need to be appeased through a sacrifice of a bull. A sacrifice that costs Jane a substantial amount of money and further contributes to her material poverty. Did we get the whole picture? Yes? Okay. We are going to dialogue, we are going to discuss. I have some questions here. From Jane's story, what do you think is poverty? Because we want to address issues around poverty. But what is poverty? From the story I've just shared, from Jane's life, what do you think is poverty? Yes?
What is poverty? Mismanagement of the resources available.
She's saying mismanagement of. So it will be poverty. What else do we think will be poverty? Because we need to address these issues. Because you can't do what you don't know. You only address what you know. You only do what you know. Yes? Yes, brother? Any ideas? Okay. Now, because we want to bring it back to us, when we get all these details, it will help us be able to manage things. That's why when we talk about financial literacy, we are talking about getting the skills, the knowledge, the confidence to manage money well. So you can't manage something well when you don't have any idea about it, right? Mm-hmm. So, thank you. Number 2, I want us to move through this. In what aspects is Jane so poor? In what aspects has Jane been so poor? Looking at the story that we just shared, in what aspects was Jane so poor? Maybe I can throw back, have a highlight. We say, Jane lives in Islam in Arua City. As a female in a male-dominated society, Jane has been subjected to polygamy, regular physical and verbal abuse from her husband, fewer years of schooling, and to an entire cultural system that tells her she is inferior. Jane lacks the confidence to look for a job, leading her to material poverty. Desperate, Jane decides to be self-employed, but needs a loan, doesn't have any money, doesn't have any savings, needs a loan to begin the project. And she needed a loan of 75,000, but the one who is the money lender is telling her to pay 100% on that loan. Meaning, she must pay back 75,000 interest within a period of 1 month. Having no other option, Jane borrows from the loan shark and starts a business of selling charcoal, because most of her friends were in charcoal business. And because charcoal was too much in the market, the price of charcoal was low, and the market was not there. And Jane was frustrated and stressed because of the loan and so many things. And Jane decides to go to a witch doctor for help. And the witch doctor tells her, your problem is because of the angry ancestral spirits. Therefore, you need to appease them by sacrificing a bull. Which bull, again, is another hurdle, because Jane needs to have some more money to be able to acquire a bull to be able to sacrifice. Now we have talked about poverty. Now we are asking, now looking at Jane's story, in what aspects is Jane so poor? Because we want to address issues around poverty. From her lifestyle, from her experience, in what areas was she very poor? Yeah?
Let's say ignorance, because what am I saying ignorance? Because if Jane knew that, one, the Lord should have brought it, if he gives back 100% interest, it will not take her anywhere. I think she would have brought it alone. Second,
exactly. So in this case, ignorance is to do with financial literacy, right? So she was ignorant about how to handle money and how to deal with the loans. And therefore, she had a problem. She was so poor in knowledge. Yes? She was very poor in knowledge. What else? In what aspects was she poor? Do you know that even spiritually she was very poor? Spiritually she was poor because we said it is lack of. Anything to do with the lack has to do with the poverty. Poverty comes in here handy. So that means spiritually she was poor. Financially, it was worse. Materially, she was also very poor. Socially, she was poor because getting 75,000 if she had friends and a family. Yeah? If she was in a good relationship with friends, there is no way she could fail to get help of 75,000 from friends and family to begin that project. So it means she was very equally poor socially. She was very poor, she didn't have friends. Okay? Number 3, still social here. You see, in this context, we are seeing that because of the polygamy, that means she wasn't the only wife. Yeah? And the chances are because of the more beatings and abuses, from this story, it appears she actually separated away from the husband. Therefore, she is likely being a single mother. So even family-wise, there was a problem. Yes? In what other area was she very poor? Family. There was a problem here. Okay? So, having these issues as James aspects of poverty, that means when we are to address issues around financial literacy, if we deal away with the poverty, we must be able to address these issues. Next question. What are Jenny's problems that make her to live the life she was living? Why was Jen living this life she was in? Life of frustration, life of stress, life of anxiety, life of depression. Everything was falling apart. What was Jenny's biggest problem? We are seeing Jenny's issues right from the first part of the story. We see that Jen, number 1, was subjected to inferiority complex. Why was she inferior? Because of her experiences, because of her problems. Because we said here, she didn't go far with the school. She didn't go far with education. Even her friends didn't help her to acquire skills. She didn't have skills. No skills, no knowledge. She was ignorant. And all these issues were her problems. So by the time we are talking about financial literacy, there must be some knowledge that we acquire. There must be some wisdom that we get. There must be some gifts that we must be able to develop to be able to get there. I have another question here. How can Jane best come out of her situation? From this, what does Jane need to come out of all these problems? What does Jane need?
Knowledge.
She needs knowledge. She must acquire knowledge because everything starts and ends with the knowledge. That's why even the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because you can't do what you don't know, you do what you know. So we need knowledge. That's why when you hear that there is a financial literacy training like this one, please attend. Because this is where you are going to learn 1 or 2 things. There are things that are never taught in any school, but life experiences, when we share, like today, we learn from one another, we get empowerment, and we keep moving forward. All right? What else does Jane need to come out of this mess? In this regard, for example, what kind of friends does Jane need to have a better social life, to be able to help her in time of crisis? What does Jane need?
She needs friends that understand their situation and are willing to help.
She needs to get people who are above her. That means one of the things that we need to always embrace is our networks. Because your network is your net worth. Your worth, your networks. The people you are with will always influence your life. That's why even right now I want to say this. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with financially. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So who are these 5 people you always with? Those 5 who always influence you. How are they standing? You are the average of those 5. So here we need to check our networks. We need to begin to learn how do we move. I'm not saying chase away your friends, no. Intentionally begin to identify people you can network with. Intentionally. And I'm not saying you take advantage of people, no. I'm saying, for example, if you know somebody is doing well, you can be able to learn from them. Befriend them so that you're able to learn from them. You don't ask them to give you fish, but you ask them to teach you how to fish. Yeah. I have stories I will share with you, but those are some of the basic things that I had to do. Network. Who are you associating with? If you have friends who are fools, you will be the next fool. If you have friends who are wise, you will be among the wise. If you have rich friends, whether they like it or yes, by all means, you will be rich. Because the kind of discussions we will have will be business. You will be discussing business. You will hear them talk business. So you also get yourself interested in talking about business. Yeah? What else does Jane need here? Do you think by having gone to the witch doctor, did Jane do a good thing? I want to tell you something here, friends. Business will operate very well as long as God is on your side. So she must improve her spiritual life. Can I tell you something here? Your spiritual balance, your spiritual equilibrium will determine how you balance. That is why, me as a Christian, I will tell you this. If you have ever read your Bible, Isaiah, you will read a sentence which says, I am the God, I'm the Lord your God, who teaches you to profit, who leads you the way you should go. So if God is to be there for you, He will teach you how to profit. He will teach you. Have you been in a state where you have no idea, but then somehow you get this inspiration to do something? In other words, people will say, something told me to do something. That is something is actually God. The Spirit of the living God will always inspire you to do something. And the way you do it that way, I can tell you, that brings you income. The witch doctor instead added more misery to her. Assuming she had gone to church for prayer. Things will have been different. Alright? Then another thing that Jane needed to do to come out is to build a meaningful relationship with the family and friends. Relationship. This plays a very big role. As long as the relationship within the family and the friends is missing, you will always be in a crisis. I want to ask you a question. Honestly speaking, if you don't have good relations with the people, and if nobody can willingly lend you money, there's a problem. So, Jane needs to build relationships, meaningful ones, with people in the family and friends. You can't tell me you have 5 relatives, you have 5 siblings, you have 5 brothers or sisters, and nobody can give you something, can help you. No way. Unless otherwise there is a problem. You can't tell me from your family where you're born from, nobody can give you at least 10,000 shillings. There is a crisis. Do something. Yeah? Acquire skills. Because here we are saying that Jane had all these problems. So for Jane to come out, Jane must acquire some new skills. That can help her move. Because when Jane acquires skills, these skills will help her in dealing with these issues around poverty. That's why this book of mine, by God's grace, I gave a title, Broke by Choice. We are always broke by choices that we make. Acquire skills, acquire knowledge. Because it is until you get those skills, things will move. Another thing that I want to still bring out here is, for Jane to come out of here, Jane must be able to rediscover her talents and she grows them. Skills and talents and gifts. Why? Even the Bible says a man's gift will open doors before him and he will enter and stand before kings. Yes? Your skills, your talents, your gifts, those things that you are very good at, once you improve on them, once you work on them, things will be able to work out. That's why, if Jane had these skills, if Jane had improved herself, if Jane had worked on herself, if Jane had developed her skills, if Jane had developed her talents, if Jane had developed her skills, nothing would have affected her. Even though the man walked away and left her as a single mother, she will still be able to take care of herself. Let me tell you something here also as well. It's not about how much you earn. Yeah? Because there are times here in this case here, Jane, we see that Jane suffered these issues. The husband abandoned her. Everything was falling apart. However, I still strongly believe if Jane had worked on herself to help herself get empowerment, she wouldn't be a victim of these issues. True or false? Yeah. So, last question. In what ways has your story been similar to that of Jane? And what are you going to commit? What are you committing to do? How has your story been similar to that of Jane? How has your story been similar to that of Jane? Because Jane had these problems. Jane struggled. But in one way or the other, we could have been in that same shoe of Jane. We could have been in the same shoe with Jane. We could be in the same shoe with Jane. How do we think we can commit? Jane was broke and broken, struggling with loans, struggling with debts, struggling in her business because the business was not moving. Everything was falling apart and she was frustrated. But at the end of the day, we can never learn from her. But still looking at what she was through and what we are going through. Question is, in what ways is our story similar to that of Jane? Friends, one of the things that I want to share is from my heart. I want to remind all of you, you could be struggling, but you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. And God is able to help. One thing I know is we go through crises, and these crises should be able to help us to bounce back. Whatever crisis we are going through should be able to help us to bounce back. Big